Hey, bonnet heads. Just a quick disclaimer before we start today's episode with the amazing Ravenstone. Unbeknownst to us while we were recording, my mic had some technical difficulties. There is a really sort of yucky pop in my mic that happens only the first few minutes of the episode. Then it levels out, thank goodness. But just wanted to warn you that we know it's there. We tried to fix it as much as possible. Sorry if it's annoying, but it does go away. And the episode is awesome. So enjoy yourselves. We love Ravenstone, and we know you will too. Enjoy.
If you're listening right now to the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast, we know something about you. We know that you're obsessed with Little House on the Prairie.
For more than half a century, Little House on the Prairie, the series and the books have been bright lights for people all over the world who seek out goodness, decency, and human connection.
Here on the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast, we celebrate everything that made Little House so special.
The stories, the characters, the actors, and the messages that have made Little House iconic family television.
And a perfect counterpoint to a world that feels like it's going off the rails every day.
Where is Michael Landon when we need him most? I'm your host, Pamela Bob.
And I'm your prairie bitch, Oleson Arngrim.
And I'm Dean Butler.
Our hashtag imaginary boyfriend. Join us for our loving, quirky, and often irreverent conversations about the finest family drama in the history of television.
And the imperfect people who made it that way.
In this third season, we are extremely grateful for the support of VisitSeeMeValley.com for their continuing sponsorship of Little House on the Prairie and the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast. Hello, bonnet heads. How are you doing? I'm Pamela Bob, your host, creator and star of Living on a Prairie and superfan, and I am here with your lovable prairie bitch, Oleson Arngrim, woot woot, and also our hashtag imaginary boyfriend, Dean Butler. How are you guys? What's going on?
Good. We're getting a little weather reversal here in around the country today, I think. Right? You said.
Well,
so what is it like where you are? We're doing weather reports.
I know it's every week. It's a weather report, and also we're by the time this drops, hope turned a bit. Than what it is currently. But currently, there's 2 feet of snow on the ground here in New York. I will say, this blizzard was better than last blizzard because the snow is like that nice, sort of wet, fun to play with, like very snowman viable snow. And it hasn't iced over yet, so it's not. It's terrible, but it's not as bad as the last one because the last one was just ice. It just turned into ice immediately. It's very pretty. It's not going to be pretty in another 24 hours, but of course it's going to snow again tomorrow and then later this week. So catching up, it's catching up for the past 10 years where it has not snowed in New York City. So it's got a lot of revenge. It's a revenge plan by the weather. But you,
I felt, now aside from weather, I felt a little like Charles Ingalls in one of those mini scenes in the barn where he's repairing something this morning. So I got up this morning. I'm in the country this morning. Our family place. You can see behind me. There's the buffalo on the.
Oh
on the
my! You do that cowboy hat.
So, yeah. So now this buffalo lived here and passed here, and it was saved here. This was turn of the century, 1900s that this happened. This has been in our family since 1885. So it's like this is a long ride. Anyway, I felt a little like Charles Ingalls this morning because we had an old wicker table that had come apart. And so I got up early as the sun came up, got out the sawhorses and re-glued
you had
the
me
table
at
with
wicker.
the clamps and the whole thing. Got it going. So it'll be ready for family visits this summer. These things are real. I love being in the country for that reason, to just do little chores. It's great.
I just thought none of my family was in this country in 1895. So that's incredible. It's just such an interesting dichotomy.
We were sort of we were a gold rush family in California.
That's fat. Do you actually have have you done your Finding My Roots type thing where you know?
Oh no, we got it all.
Could have run into grandmas. Did you run into my grandmother in San Francisco? My because everybody's Canadian, right? And all the Scottish. But grandma Yes, my grandmother's name was Harriet, and she was totally Harriet.
Do.
She was born in San Francisco, and she's the San Francisco branch. And my great grandmother, and somebody needs to write a book about it. But my great grandmother left like Connecticut at the age of 16 on a ship, and all the way to San Francisco during like the gold rush. And everyone's kind of like, wait, why would you do that?
So,
she moved to San Francisco.
Wow.
If I turn to my left and look out the picture window on the back porch, it's a straight view, 30 miles to San Francisco. I can see the San Francisco skyline.
Your ancestors and my grandmother may have hung out. We don't know.
Yes, hung out.
I mean,
yes.
if that is true, if that actually happened, my mind is
going
going to explode. Yeah, that's...
You bet some of your older relatives go, Harriet Mawhinney of San Francisco. Anybody? No, maybe. She got around.
I'd have to check.
Let's
we've got
Pamela
together. And Allison. We've got a loaded.
Oh my God!
I
think we need to step right into this.
Okay, here we go. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest with us today to help recap a particularly interesting episode. I'll just leave it at that. So, but first, from UB and Go and Prairie Partners, and visit SeaMeValley.com, and you, our wonderful patrons at Patreon, this is the Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary Podcast. Yes! All right, guys, I am psyched. Who is a dear friend has been on my list to come onto this podcast since we started, and he is here today. Let me just tell you who we've got. We have the amazingly talented Raven Stone. Let me tell you a little bit about Stone. Is a Michigan-based comedian, songwriter, and content creator, best known for his pop culture-driven TikTok content. He enjoys creating in any form and aims to make the world feel more relatable through humor and storytelling. Same, girl. Same. First of all, hello, Raven. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. I'm so excited.
Hello, Raven.
Hello.
We wanted to start this whole thing up. Play maybe your most famous TikTok video, or the TikTok video that shot you to nostalgia TikTok Prairie fame, and have the audience have a great introduction to you. So here we go.
It was the bridge.
We're going to play.
All right, we're going to go through and see how many shots it would take me to sleep with the men of Little House on the Prairie. Starting off with Charles Ingalls, 0 shots, because look at his hair, his face. He's shirtless in an episode where he falls out of a tree and breaks his ribs, 0 shots. Here we have Niles Oleson, the shopkeeper. I'd say 3 or 4, because he's kind. Here we have Adam, Mary's husband, 0 shots. He was my childhood crush. He's just gorgeous and kind. Here we have the Doc Baker, say 7 or 8. He's very scrunchy. It's the Reverend Alden, 100 shots. I would rather die than sleep with the Reverend Alden. And finally, Almanzo Wilder, I'd say 2 shots just because I can't see his lips.
Okay. All right. I have a question for you, big boy.
Yeah.
How many shots do we get?
That's up to you, and you have to make your own video, and you have to tag me in it. Let the people decide who's right.
I am surprised.
I just want to say, when you made that video, did you ever think in a million years you'd be sitting across from Dean Butler playing that video? Yeah,
I didn't. Yeah. No, I didn't. And here we
are.
No
one's ever said I don't have lips before.
No
one's
really?
ever said that.
Okay, well then I was the first. I can see them now. I think it was the photo. I think it was the lighting. It was I think when lips come into play, lighting color is important.
Well, you were never around when Michael Landon's lips disappeared. If Michael was displeased. I mean, he was, like I said, Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky a lot of the time, but when he's like, nope, this is not working, this is not where I had to lay down the law, you knew you were in trouble because the nostrils flared and his lips disappeared. He went all snake lips on you.
Oh my God.
And when the lips went away, and I went, oh, okay, what do we do? Yeah, whatever I did, I'm never doing it again. Oh my God. Yeah. So his lips would disappear when he was mad.
Yeah.
Now, I am shocked that it took you that many shots for Doc Baker, really? Because, I mean, there
was a lot of feedback from the people. That was the thing. It got a lot of views, but it also got a lot of comments, and people were criticizing Doc Baker and Nels. They were like, that is so not right. He was my I want to marry him when I grow up. Both of them.
My dad was talking to a friend of his, a gay man, who said, yes, he watched Little House. My father's surprised. He said, I didn't think it was your kind of show. And he just, oh, no, I like that show. I really like Mr. Oleson. And my father said, oh, yes, he's so funny. He's so funny. And he goes, oh, no, he's hot. And my father said, wait, what? And apparently there's a whole group of people like, oh, Mr. Oleson, Nels, so understanding. So, yeah, something about him, And I started looking at younger pictures of some of these dudes, and
yes. And Raven, we have some of those pictures for you, so you might need to make a second video, perhaps reconsidering. On.
Yeah, because if you get them younger,
that's different.
I'm seeing some 0 shots. I'm seeing some maybe 2 shots.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I promise we'll talk about things other than this, but first, let's look at these photos. Tony, roll them.
Hubba.
Oh my gosh.
Hubba and Hubba.
I'm shocked.
That's our Nell. Yes.
Oh, clutch the pearl.
So handsome. I clutched the mercantile shirt.
So handsome. Yeah. Tony, we have 2 more, I think.
We have Doc Baker. We have.
There he
Hubba
is.
Hubba Doc Baker. Doc. Hot Doc.
He's shocked.
We do this for everybody. I just did this with Bob Barker. I don't know why I've never done this with one of my favorite shows.
What? Let's make a deal?
Now that's the Price is Right.
Yeah.
Do we have the hot Reverend?
More.
He's kind of cute. The Reverend's kind of cute when he was young. But he looked old even when he was young, but he looks kind of cute when he was young.
He is one of those faces, sort of like Ned Beatty has always looked
was
older
playing
when he
middle-aged
was
dudes in
younger.
high school, but that's Kevin. That's
still Hot Doc.
He looks like Jimmy Bond.
It's like he looks just like the young
very
Doc.
British kind of thing going here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Was he holding a gun?
You know what's so as we come up with the Reverend here, what's so cool is these guys had wonderful long careers,
God, right?
and you know, they're working throughout their professional life, which is really fantastic. I think they're probably all best remembered for the work that they did on Little House.
Totally.
You know, well, Dabbs is done.
Well, Green Mile. Dabbs gets scores with Green Mile.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. But they were like all on the Twilight Zone
for Little House.
Yes. Oh my God.
Like all on the Twilight Zone.
Weren't they doing like 50 episodes a year at that point? I mean, they went through a lot of talent.
Everything. They were in everything.
Yeah.
Well, Raven, we'll see if the Dabbs Greer photo will come to
maybe. Yeah,
I'm curious
at some
if
point
we don't.
here, but let's
see. We have, there he is. Let's see if we can make it a little bigger. I don't know if we can.
Oh my
I
goodness.
can't see him. Can we zoom in, Tony?
Zoomy.
There he is. I mean,
he's very character. He's an everyman.
Guys. Yeah, he's one of those guys I'm sure looked 40, and at 40 looked 80. He's just that guy.
Right.
Middle-aged.
Yeah.
Like a Wilford Brimley.
He'd be the guy.
Your demeanor has a lot to say
He'd be the guy in high school or college.
You're carrying yourself.
Yeah, you'd have to have him. He played the dad for everybody in high school, but he's got a kind of almost a kind of Jimmy Stewart kind of, almost Jimmy Stewart does Dragnet. I don't know. It's like I kind of like it.
Well, Raven, let's talk about you for a little bit, because again, you sort of rose to to internet fame on your TikTok channel.
Yeah.
And the thing that was like the catalyst for that, because I think you had been posting a bit, but the thing that sort of skyrocketed you was when you started posting about Little House on the Prairie. Talk to us a little bit. How did you start watching? What's your origin story with Little House on the Prairie? Because you're a younger generation. Did that all begin for you?
It was my granny. My granny. She and I were very, very close, and I think this is very common with people my age that are big fans of the show. But they were coming out on DVD, the giant box sets, when I was younger, and she ordered them through Columbia House because she got a deal. Wow. So she ordered the first 4, and when they came in, we plowed through them, and then I borrowed them and wear and tear. But it was a big part of my childhood and a big part of my relationship with her. It was fun.
What was it about it that really worked for you? Because everyone has, I mean, I think there's a common thread to this, but I'm just curious for you, Raven. What was it that, other than the bonding with your grandmother, which is wonderful to get that, what's the deal?
I think it's the core values of why people connect and relate and love the show so much, being family, community, friendship, universal things, and also universal struggles, even if, we're not worried about a scrape on the leg turning into what it did. Or, but I mean, ultimately, what's the core of that? The core of that is my family member is sick and she's alone. That's relatable. So I think those are huge core things that every human can relate to. And then on top of that, you add the drama and the comedy and the wacky characters and the seemingly one-time residents of Walnut Grove that we meet once and then maybe they move. I don't know.
Yeah, no, we've decided they go into the vortex. There's a vortex somewhere in the universe that they all live in together. They're
That's
together.
Good to know.
They're fine. They're not lonely.
They're their own community.
So do you think it's these very things that, I mean, were you surprised at the Little House video? I mean, the shot one, the one that we just played, was that the first one?
Yeah, that was the first.
What other reaction?
I was so shocked because I didn't post it with intent. Like, I posted that as I saw a video of somebody doing how many shots would it take me to sleep with the men of Grey's Anatomy, and I'm like, okay, that's obvious. And then I went something a little more closely aligned with my interests because I'm like, that's fun and I want to be involved. And that's how I got really involved. And immediately, like I was saying, it's just comments. And they're not comments from people that have seen an episode. They're comments from people that have very strong, lifelong opinions about the same things that I do.
But I love that it wasn't with intent. It was like, well, this is cute. This is fun. Yeah. Oh, right. I'll just go how many shots? Oh, yeah. Well, he's hot. He's hot. And then,
and then after that, it just became something where it's like, okay, now I know that this funny community, because they were funny. These comments were fun to read. This community's here. I have a lot more things I can just say about my favorite show. Like I would say if I met somebody that had never seen it and was talking to them about it. It's just, I started doing that and they consistently came back and communicated and participated, and it was so fun.
Raven, when we do our events, this is a constant theme. You have people who have never met each other who come to these events. They stand in lines. They're doing things together, and they have this common interest, and they become fast friends. So many people form friendships in lines at Little House events. And I think this is, any place where where fandom is really strong, where there is this passion for something, there is this opportunity to connect over it. And people do form wonderful prairie relationships with people that they come to meet. So you tapped into something that was with a very active and interested fan base. I'm curious, what does it mean when you say posting with intent? What does that mean?
Well, I think in my mind, posting with the intention of I want this to get a lot of views, or I want this to be the thing because this is a trend. This might be the thing that makes me have a lot of views, and that's never, and I've made videos about this back when I first started on TikTok, but it's like, if you're posting something with the intent of views,
Right, of course.
people can smell that.
Not authentic. But that's the thing. We often sit down and go, oh, this is trending right now, so I'll mix it up with this. Or, oh, this is a really good story. I know people are going to like this. But then it's the cuckoo random stuff where it's just, I had this crazy idea, and that's the one. But it's so amazing when you talk about your grandmother. Is your grandmother still with us?
No, she's not. No, she died in 2009.
I get this all the time. People say, I watched it with my aunt, I watched it with my grandmother, I watched it with my parents.
Yeah, of course.
They're no longer here, and this is how I connect to them, and this is how I remember them, is through this show. And we hear this all the time, and I get it.
Yeah, no, she would be so excited, and she would probably, every time we would talk about it, this happening, if I could, she would probably just start laughing. Because it's just, she never would have guessed. And then the way that we got here, never would have guessed.
Totally. Yeah.
So, Pamela,
it is always the... No. So, yes? I was going to say, it's
no, I was just going to say, go ahead with that. I think we should do you have a wonderful quiz here for Raven that I...
Oh,
I do.
Quiz! Oh, my God.
First, can we play your Mrs. Olsen
That's
video?
my favorite. I like that one.
And this also gets a lot of attention on TikTok.
I
when
scream
you do your Mrs.
my
Olsen.
head off.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Ingalls. Good morning, Mrs. Olsen. Yes, it certainly was. What do you mean by that, Mrs. Olsen? Well, Caroline, I must say, I'm surprised at you. I can assure you, Mrs. Olsen, I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, I'll have you know that not 20 minutes ago, your Laura pushed my sweet Nellie into the dirt for absolutely no reason at all. Well, I apologize, Mrs. Olsen, and I'll talk to her, but I can't imagine it was for no reason. You know how Nellie can be to Laura. I beg your pardon, Mrs. Ingalls, but it sounds like you're implying that my Nellie is the issue. No, Mrs. Olsen, I'm not implying. Well, Mrs. Ingalls, I can assure you that Nellie is nothing but refined, kind, and beautiful. Quite like her mother, I might add. Well, that can't be right. I thought you were her mother. Good day, Mrs. Olsen. What, Mrs. Ingalls? Now?
Okay, what's
The nails.
slaughtered
Nail
me
the
about this is you did the Catherine thing. You said the line, then went, made the weird little noise at the end, and I went, no, stop it. You caught the Catherine weird little aside noise, and I that was it. I was dead.
Thank you. It was funny. I had a coworker when I worked at Barnes & Noble years ago that he was a big fan of the show too. And we, to get through the day, he would pretend to be Mrs. Ingalls and I would pretend to be Mrs. Olsen. So it'd be like time for my, come over and be like, it's time for my break. And I'd be like, oh, well, I'm still waiting on my first break from the day, but go ahead. I'll be all right. So by the time I got around to TikTok, I had already unwittingly developed my own version of her for God knows what.
Your inflections, for those of us who spend a lot of time with Catherine, you got her inflections really, really well.
Well, I take that as a big compliment.
Wonderful. Oh, no, you should.
What a crazy, talented person.
Catherine McGregor was just irrepressible. She was a force of nature, and you felt that from her. The energy that came off of Catherine when just walking into a room, and then amp that up when she stepped onto the set ready to do her work. She was incredible all the time. There was never a down moment with Catherine.
And you caught the Karen Grassley thing. The intensity.
Yes,
you're missing
really
the
nice.
stare, the blue-eyed stare of no. I was like, oh, it's Karen. He's done it. He's got her too. I mean,
It's being a super fan. You watch these episodes over and over and over again, especially from a very young age, watching them over and over again.
Yes.
Yeah, they you pick it up, I think, almost inadvertently.
Wow.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I'm, when we're recapping this episodes, and I'll stop in the middle of a recap and be like, okay, let me explain to you guys, Dean and Allison, this meant to a young person watching it. Perspective now felt like what it meant, the impact of it when you're 8, 9, 10, 11 watching the show, and it's different. Yeah. It's a totally different experience. I mean, it would be like watching The Wizard of Oz as an adult versus watching it when you're a little kid. It's just it's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
And the same applies to Little House, I think. Yeah. Okay, we are going to a mini recap of an episode with you, but first we're going to play a little tiny little game of Would You Rather. Are you ready?
Okay. Of course, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
First, 1. Would you rather be stuck in a buggy with no lip Almanzo Almanzo Wilder. I had to do that little dig. Would you rather be stuck in a buggy with Almanzo Wilder while he refuses to admit he's lost, or be taught by a strict and snarky Adam Kendall?
Strict and snarky Adam Kendall.
Yeah, I mean, that was predictable. You tipped yourself right up front.
The energy of I refuse. No. I would rather just, you know what? I am here to learn. He's here to teach me. If he's strict, if he's stern, that's because that's what he sees as fit.
Lord.
Wow. Okay. Next, win a huge mud fight with Nellie Oleson, or take a full month of daily French lessons with Mrs. Oleson?
Oh, no.
I'm trying to think psychologically what would be easier. The mud fight with Nellie.
Well, it would be there and it'd be done.
Be over.
Yeah. Just get it over with. I don't care if I win. I don't care if I lose.
Would you rather accidentally insult fiddle playing, or tell Caroline Ingalls you prefer store-bought bread? This is a tough one.
It is. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
I know, this is tough.
Well, you devastated me with the lip thing. So
I know.
So
the statute of limitations on that is lifted.
I might have to say something that his fingers never touch the bow.
I would say.
You want to pass on that one? Yeah.
No, I do not want to hurt his feelings about his fiddle playing, because that is creative. It's vulnerable. The skills,
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, the bread then. Oof. Okay, that was a tough one. That was almost like a trick.
It was.
There's no winning.
Yeah.
Okay,
either way, I'm a bad.
Yes, right. Okay, would you rather have Laura as your best friend, who's wild, adventurous, guaranteed, or Mary, calm, wisdom, guaranteed?
Laura.
Ooh.
It's more, I think it would be more interesting. I think when Mary's adventurous, it's either because she has to, or because somebody else is dragging her out in a dust storm.
That's true. That is totally true. Okay, next. Would you rather have Nellie or Nancy as your classmate?
Nellie.
Not even a beat.
No.
Nancy. Next to Nancy.
No. Nancy is. That's different. That's completely different. They're completely different ballparks. There's Prairie bitch, and then there's evil.
Psycho bitch. Right.
And bows.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy and nailed it.
Evil and
we
bows.
love her. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 more. Next one. Spend a snowy winter evening listening to Pa tell stories by the fire, or have a spring picnic with Ma's homemade biscuits and fresh lemonade. I know. How do you
I love Little House at Christmas. So I would say stories by the fire.
Solid.
It's it's the most warm, nostalgic.
Yeah. Now, if you could get
true?
Pa as Michael if you sat by the fire with Michael telling stories, that you would never give that up.
No, and I'd be up till 2 a.m. listening to that stuff. Oh, man.
Yeah.
If you're in the mood for an epic, that's the option.
Oh, yeah,
you choose.
no question. No question.
All right, last question. Would you rather rewrite one storyline entirely or leave every ounce of Prairie Chaos exactly as it aired? Ooh. That's tough, too. You guys think about that too, Dean and Allison. What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, 200 episodes.
Are you asking
really
for like if there's a specific episode that we would write?
Sure.
Okay.
Blanche. We'd go back and rewrite Blanche.
It's all about rewriting Blanche.
It's all about when it comes down to it at the end of the day. He's thinking.
I think the episode where Carrie goes up in the hot air balloon. I love it. I think it could have been even more wild. Have her go up at the beginning. Have this carnival, all like this odds and ends. You've got the Walnut Grove citizens. You've got the ringleader. You've got all these people chasing after this balloon. That's why I would rewrite.
Take me to the fair.
Whole episode.
Right? Yeah, take me to the fair.
Cosplay Carney guy. Yeah. Ooh. I say he's the Renaissance Festival Carney man. Okay,
yeah.
That was our quiz.
That's great. That was great.
Nice.
Let's take a break.
We're gonna take a break and then we'll come back with recap. All right. Okay. We'll be right back.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents. Explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Throughout the summer, take the Little House 50th Anniversary Tour at Big Sky Movie Ranch. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information. We are so grateful to visitsimivalley.com for their commitment to presenting the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
Let's talk about the episode where Mary teaches in the Boondocks. She's so optimistic.
I'll take the job.
Bless you.
She didn't sneeze.
We'll leave.
I didn't realize we were watching Children of the Corn.
Miss Peel?
Mary, thou shalt know Satan when thou seest Satan. And that's her. Where in the huck fin are his shoes?
You're mighty pretty.
You're mighty creepy. Yeah.
Joshua! You devil's disciple!
You're Jezebel and worse.
Sorry she refused your barefooted offspring. We thought Walnut Grove was rural. It doesn't help that she's still dressed like a student.
I don't have to read you anything!
Can you read? She's insane. I feel like I've met her. Get this woman a leapfrog.
I can't.
I didn't. I have not watched that. And I forgot everything I said in there.
So
y'all just heard Raven's video that he made. You can see it on his TikTok. What is your handle on TikTok, by the way?
Mr. Ravenstone. MRRAVEN. Miss Yoani.
Funny 1 minute recap of Whisper Country, which is
this is episode 15.
Episode.
This is episode 15 of season 4, Whisper County. It premiered on January 16th, 1978. Whisper was directed or written by John Hawkins, one of Michael's most senior collaborators on the program, and directed by Michael Landon. This is really special. Allison, what is
this
it about?
episode? I hadn't watched it in ages. I was totally freaked out. I'd forgotten how intense this episode is. Whisper Country, 15-year-old Mary Ingalls cheerfully accepts her first teaching job, only to discover she's been sent to the one corner of Minnesota. I think she somehow went to Arkansas or something accidentally. She went to one corner of Minnesota.
Hell is where she went to.
Suspicious, outsiders are unwelcome, and the local preacher thinks that education is a gateway drug to moral decay. Yikes. Mary arrives with a smile and a spelling printer, and the town greets her like she's selling witchcraft door to door. Poor Mary. She survives, she educates, and proves that even in the middle of nowhere, Ingalls' character can win the day. Wow, wow, wow. And they do. They refer to, yes, Reverend Alden, Charles and Caroline, note this, all refer to Mrs. Sims as Miss Beadle, apparently forgetting that she was married 3 episodes earlier in Here Come the Bride. Did the husband go to the vortex? Did Mr. Pig Farmer and his son go to the vortex?
The whole marriage went to the vortex.
Wow. Yeah. This was intense, and it really is scary because there's people like this in little pockets of the country now. There's terrible places like this where people little culty things going on.
So Pamela, you were really emphatic about picking this episode for this conversation with Raven. So what was it about? Was it just the video?
Well, no. So what was interesting is that when I talked to Raven, I was like, hey, will you be on the podcast? And he was like, yes, of course. And I was like, awesome. Like, what would you like to do for a recap? And he said, well, I just finished watching Whisper, and oh my God, it's so bananas. It's bananas. We should do that one. And funnily enough, I have a short list of like, okay, what episode should we be doing next? And that was like, on the list. And I think this is an episode that's actually in like the top 50 most popular episodes of the show. Which is really interesting because it's such a one-off. It really is such a one. So it's weird.
It has some of my favorite lines. There's a couple of my favorite lines ever in the entire series are in this, and of course one
Jezebel.
Jezebel showing your flesh and temptations, Raymond. Sorry, I can't help it. It's just I can't not say this. But it's filled with this, and it is one of Melissa Sue Anderson's greatest performances. And I swear there was some article where she was quoted as saying, I don't know about that one. Maybe it was too much. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Someone call her and tell her, no, that was not too much. That was not too much. That was great. That nailed it, babe. I mean, yeah.
Well, to be in such a crazy situation as that character and to have it be to have the audience believe her in that situation. It was great.
Well, you're playing opposite the crazy Mrs. P. You gotta ramp it up with that woman.
Yeah.
So the gist of it is Mary gets this teaching position in this town that is Children of the Corn, run by this crazy cult leader, religious zealot, crazy, and the whole town is under her spell, and it's Mary's struggles.
It's a cult.
It's a full-on cult.
It's a cult.
I mean, it's just
she waves the Bible, but she practices witchcraft. By their admission, they don't call it witchcraft. But they go, "Oh yeah, she cast a spell, and people only get sick if she wants them to. And here's her magic potion for this cure." And I'm like, "Whoa!" She's screaming at them that it's supposed to be a Christian society in their town, and that Mary is a witch, but she is practicing full-on witchcraft in her town. It's like, wow, what is happening? It's terrifying.
So
more of an a la carte spiritual situation.
I'm wondering what Michael's motivation was for breaking this story. I'm just wondering what the thing that immediately pops to mind for me is Jonestown for some reason. And I'm just trying to think of when Jonestown.
What year was Jonestown?
I think you could be right because it's around then.
Jonestown People's Temple.
Well, when is it? Because this aired January.
This aired in January of '78. Jonestown hadn't happened until November.
But there was a lot of culty stuff going on in the '70s. Maybe that was his. Maybe Michael understood. It was a warning. That terrible things could happen.
Yeah,
I could see that. I could see that as it being like, cults aren't always going to look what you think they're going to look like.
I also think he probably wanted an episode for Melissa because she's such a strong actor.
Yeah, he knew she'd rock it.
Yeah.
My boyfriend Jared, he's never seen the show, never, like beginning to end, except for what we've seen together. But her performance in the oh my gosh, what's the episode called? She burns Miss Beadle's book that she's practicing for the exam.
Yeah.
And she's crying, and he was like, "Wow, great child actor right there."
Yeah,
it's like,
she's insane.
When you look at what Melissa was, I think if you look at the series and the kinds of stories that Michael chose to build around Melissa Sue Anderson, it was no accident that he did that. she had a gravitas about her always in this. She wasn't the wild adventurer, clearly, that Melissa Gilbert portrayed, this whimsical, fun, spunky, all of that. But boy, if you wanted someone who could get down deep in a place that was, or needed to tell a story that was about getting down deep into emotional life, Melissa Sue Anderson really could score consistently. Just incredible
This
stuff.
episode reminded me, though, in the books and in real life, when Laura, who would have been much older by then, so they would have had to have done this episode way later, Laura, on one of her sheets, goes to stay with these horrible people, was the boat. In the books.
Yes.
And the woman who she's staying with is seriously unbalanced and attacks her at one point and everything. It's really wild. And it's like, okay, was this kind of like, hey, this gets a little like going to hang out, stay with the crazy, do we fling this? Let's do this, but we'll make it different. We'll do this. We'll do some, but this will be our tribute to the Boasts episode in the books.
In the books, it was the Brewster School,
the crazy Brewsters.
Right. It was the Brewster School, and it was in these happy golden years, and where Laura gets this first teaching job. And the wonderful imagery of that horrible circumstance. You could just imagine, as tough as life was in that circumstance out on the prairie with the howling wind and just the brutal cold, the isolation, all of that, that if you weren't built for that it could really set you off in a deep, dark place. That story was written. Laura wrote that story for Laura. Michael adapted that story
for Mary.
Yeah, and I think he did. He went this, whatever the script originally was. As we know, they had a writer's room like the modern era where Michael would say, "Let's do this, let's do that." But I think he went, "Oh well, here's our snippet from the books because that's when she goes stays with this terrible family. This will work. This will be." But taking it away over the top with this woman who has this whole town terrified and is telling them that she's the only one who knows what's in the Bible when of course she hasn't read the darn thing at all, and the poor lady can't read a word, and it's terrifying because there's stuff like that happens and has happened.
Well, I think this is why Michael responded to this subject matter. I don't know how much Jonestown was in the news, at the end of 1977, as Michael is sort of crafting this season, but I think he was so prescient about conditions in society. I think he really understood what was going on, and he never missed an opportunity to make a statement.
And our show often did the thing about reason over irrationality. Our Reverend Alden, of course, was like so like modern prairie preacher dude. But it was always reason over ignorance was a huge deal on our show. And Doc Baker, for what little science he had, was a man of science. So for this to say, okay, yeah, we're out in the country, but no, it's still reason over craziness. This is not right,
So, Raven, I'm curious, what were the scenes in this? I can imagine you could have a field day doing this Peel. So, what were the scenes that really lit this episode up for you?
Watching it with a fresh set of eyes really highlighted these. But any of the moments just throughout the entire episode where you can see them going, what? What did she say? The pinnacle of me is the scoring and the dialogue and the camera angles in the climatic scene where they confront each other, because you see it ramping up to this dynamic, and you see a character that you love and care about and are rooting for in a really big and high stakes way say what we all want to say to her and win.
Yes!
And discovers that not only is it that she makes things up, she can't even read. That's the real one.
In a very twisted way, at the end, I felt a lot of empathy and compassion for the Rachel character, who's been just so awful. But at the end, you really see just how broken she is.
Yes, they give her.
I think with something like that, when you start something like that, it doesn't start big, it starts small. So once you fall into it and you pinball back and forth for years, and you get to this point, and then somebody breaks that and you see clarity for a second, that's so scary.
They gave her humanity at the end because, again, it's Little House on the Prairie.
Yes.
So as awful as she was, and literally
Yes.
putting people in fear of her, casting spells on them and bring down lights, making everybody's life miserable, and you
And
can't
accusing
read.
Mary of being a Jezebel, even though he was the one coming onto her, and she was.
And as she said,
awful.
with my father standing right here, go ahead and call me a Jezebel in front of my dad, you know? And it's so crazy. And of course, my other favorite line, soap and water.
Oh my gosh.
I say it all the time. I just put soap and water.
It's so funny.
But she gives her humanity. She says, no, you can come to school. Like, she's like, I'll teach you. It'll be okay. Please. And even Pa and takes her hand. They forgive her and bring her in. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, but at the end, I'm also like, I hope this town is free. Like, run away. Because can we?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, do you think they've changed? Do you think the town changes after this?
I think it's the Mrs. Fisher character, the mother of poor little Katie. I just wanted to say, save Katie the whole episode. Save Katie.
Well, she turns on her husband. It's like, no,
first of all,
actually.
let's talk about the casting of this woman because she looks exactly the part. I mean, she's that brittle,
I believe her.
worn. She looks like, she's living with this abusive man in this oppressive cult-like environment. She doesn't even know who the president of the United States. I mean, that scene where she says, "Who is the president?" And you could see that she wants to know and is afraid to ask.
Telephone?
I mean, right. There are
telephone. There is such thing as a telephone. Oh, God. So beautiful.
So the casting of Miss Fisher is amazing. All of those kids nailed the children of the corn like blank, vacant stares. And P.S., I think one of those children is a young Susan, my favorite character. Susan! She can sing! She can sing! I'm here! I was like, wait, that's Susan!
Dee Croxton was Mrs. Fisher.
Oh.
And she was in everything in the... Oh, good heavens, she was in The Green Mile with Dabs Greer. Crossover. Wow. There you go. Invisible Man.
She was so sad.
Allison, what about Anita Dangler?
Anita Dangler. Oh, my God. Yeah, I was looking up. Oh, yeah.
Who started her career in 1960 and worked consistently through almost the turn of the century. So a nearly 40-year career on camera. And she just... It looks like when you look at her IMDb, it's just sort of one crazy woman after another.
Wow, she's out there. Good news, our Dee Croxton, our Mrs. Fisher, was in Days of Sunshine, Days of Shadows. He Loves Me Not. She was on Highway to Heaven. So Michael saw it and just had her in everything.
Who was she in those?
I don't know. I'm like sifting this. She was that woman was in everything. And then our crazy Mrs. Peel Dangler, Anita, with the best name ever, Anita Dangler, can I just say? Is that my new drag name?
Dangler. It's like a drag name.
Remember it.
Drag name.
That is fantastic. Okay, Anita Dangler, who was in everything. There was something I saw on her thing where she was in something really like unusual that I was like, what the hell?
Did she always play these kind of characters?
No.
Yes.
She did well,
I that's the sense that you get when you look. So in the Fisher King, which was the wonderful.
I love the Fisher King.
She was a homeless woman in the Fisher King, and it sounds like she was sort of a nicely
That's my
featured
favorite
homeless
Robin
woman
Williams.
I love
period
so
is
much.
Fisher King. Okay. She was in Fisher King.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fisher King. She's Fisher King. She was in a lot of comedies, a lot of weird stuff. My God, you're right. She was in everything. I'm like,
the picture of her in her IMDb, she looks like sort of a pulled together, sort of professorial kind of woman.
I could see that too. I mean, I could see her playing
sort of
those roles, but my God, she played this cult leader so convincingly. She was terrifying. You believed the town would be fearful of her. Also, the fact that it's a woman in 1870, whatever.
They didn't do a crazy male preacher.
That's
they did
right.
This woman doing it.
Is really interesting. And you know what it reminded me? I mean, there are still things like this going on. I don't know if you've ever heard. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cheryl Ruthven.
I think there's a lot of this kind of thing going on today, frankly.
Yeah, there was a crazy cult by this charismatic leader named Cheryl Ruthven, who, again, it started off as just like a small opportunity. She just sort of started preaching, and it it snowballed and snowballed into she had total control over this entire community. And her whole thing was hoarding cats. If you hoard cats and take care of cats, that'll guarantee you get to heaven. I mean, it was just like, what? So you had, I mean, horrible things that she did, but I mean, but cuckoo bananas. And you think, how could anyone possibly believe this? How could anyone possibly follow her? How could they ruin? I mean, lives were ruined, relationships were ruined, families were ruined. And all it takes is just like that. What you said, it's like the frog in the hot water. It starts off slow. And by the time it gets here, your brain has already been changed.
And the isolation, because I've known people who grew up in very small towns in Missouri and Arkansas and places. And they all said, yeah, there were places, our town was like, okay, but if you went a few up the road, they were kind of cut off. And even though it was well into the 20th century, it was like we had TV, we went up the road, and there were people who just, that electricity and cable TV, they got cut off and things got weird. They said in these towns where people got very isolated, things just went off the rails.
There was a town like that near the town that I grew up in. I don't know much about it, except, of course, everybody goes, you don't want to, yeah.
So
I don't know what it is.
As we sort of speed towards wrapping this up, I'm wondering, Raven, if you have like your top 5. So we know this is a favorite of yours. What are the other like 3 or 4 favorite episodes that you have watched through the years, and why? What makes them special? Because you have a take on
it. You even born when our show is on. So like, we're fascinated. We are fascinated. Like, why you are into this.
Waiting, yeah, no, I mean, I will always, as a core Little House on the Prairie episode for me, I'll be waiting as you drive away.
Sure.
And we'll just call that one long episode, both parts. It's
I think that is beautiful. The number 1 episode in the history of the
rightfully so. It's just, it hits everything. The thing that hits me every single time is Mary and Miss Beadle saying goodbye. That will always make me cry. I could cry now, but I won't. I'll save it for later. I'll watch it. But it's a big moment for for all of the characters in that show, because they all have to leave. I would say the one where Caroline gets the cut, of course. I only remember with my little bylines that I started my videos with, because that words get stuck in my head. But that one, seeing Karen's performance she was great in that, because it's focused on her. You step away every once in a while. My top 5, they're all going to be traumatic episodes. I mean, that's the thing. We used to talk about this, Pamela, a lot when I was making these videos, where it's like, these are the ones, because they're the ones that you remember, and the ones that you think Little House on the Prairie you go back to. So I would say that one. Sylvia is not one of my top 5s, but that's one that comes up to me. It's intense. The blind school burning down. That one. Yeah.
May we make them proud.
It's May we make them proud.
Yeah.
Let me throw in a happy one. I love everybody traveling back to Walnut Grove, and some people having a more difficult time than others. I think is what it's called. There's no place like home.
Those are good ones.
And Harriet falling in the creek. Anytime she loses control, camp out. Whether it's because of her, whether it's because of something else, when she loses control, it's always a treat.
Correct.
Well, she waded into that stuff so beautifully. Yeah. I think that was one of and Allison, you could talk about this, and as we sort of started with Catherine, with you, and we can finish with Catherine with you. When she tapped into, instead of being foreboding, being foolish, when she tapped into that adjustment, that changed everything.
It was.
And suddenly this character became not only the source of outrageous behavior, but funny, funny.
And it made her sympathetic.
Yeah.
It made her sympathetic. And she talked about that. Like she said, hey, I'm not just this woman. I'm this 9-year-old girl's terrifying memory of what this woman did to her family. Like, imagine being a little girl going, this big imposing woman is mean to your mom. I mean, so she said, yes, so Laura was traumatized by this woman. So she was playing a lot of that. And then she said, but she's an idiot. She's foolish. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's like, she thinks she knows everything, and she does not. And she said, but that made her sort of sympathetic because you go, oh my God, this woman's out of her gourd.
Absolutely.
Right, she's a fool.
It feels like she, based on her upbringing, it feels like she knows everything about everything that somebody told her. She doesn't know anything for herself, but she knows exactly what should be done. And when people don't do it because nobody acts that way, she goes, well, don't you know anything about the way the world works?
Guess what, like mom told her, and it's like none of it's right. Yeah.
Right.
You nailed it. Yes.
So do you think Dean, you think that she figured out the comedic spin on her own?
Oh, absolutely.
And then Michael was like,
absolutely.
And then wrote around that.
Then
what she recognized, and again, Allison may have an additional take on this. In my many long conversations with her, she recognized that her longevity on the show depended on being more than just mean.
Boom.
She recognized that there had to be something redemptive in her, and that foolishness opened the door to comeuppance in the writing, that she always got what was coming to her. She always was redeemed at the end and ready to go next week to do the next outrageous thing that she was going to do. And Allison had the same thing.
I was sort of, I started out very serious in that, but you first see, leaving a little bit country girls. I'm being very serious with Laura, but every now and then, this little flounce and just a little harumph and, sort of the Mrs. Oleson takes. But then it starts going, there's like my first sort of Miss Piggy moment, actually in Country Girls. Country Girl don't even know what a blackboard is, where it just like bursts out. But then it's sort of getting my footing, and by the famous season 3, we went, we're doing this. And
I would say for you, Allison, coming into my brain right now is in Winoka, Nellie and Willie wearing the school uniforms.
Could you die?
Just not even a joke, not even anything, just the fact that they're wearing these stupid uniforms.
Which are insane. And the giant...
And they think they're so cool.
It was this weird gray thing. That was the outfit, and Michael had to approve everything, and I was marched into makeup here with this weird gray pinafore over this dark navy thing, and then a giant blue bow for no particular reason hanging on my... And I was marched in, and Michael looked me up and down and said, she looks like a Polish Playboy bunny. And what have you done to her? Oh, fine. Great.
Specific.
Yes, it's ridiculous. Go with it. Yes. But yeah, it was like, what is happening?
For me, that says that's great character development, great writing, and great teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of writing, Raven, will you please tell us, what do you have projects that you're working on? Anything upcoming for you? Tell us about what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm working on a new batch of songs. They're a little bit more grounded in reality. My first album was more of a collection of fables that had a mythic tint to it. And this album has an element of that, but it's definitely more in the middle, I would say. And then for screenwriting, I'm working on my first feature length right now. And it's undercover drag queen crime comedy, and I'm having having a lot of fun. I'm having so much fun with it. It's coming really naturally, so I'm really excited to keep working on it.
Part for me.
Yeah, does Barbara Allison make an appearance?
Yep. All right. Jot down real quick.
So something to talk about next time.
All right. Exactly.
Yes.
And
exactly.
That's great, Raven.
It's awesome.
This has been. I've been so excited to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me. I've been excited too.
Give us your info, website, handles, anything you want. Pitch it, girl. Go.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I will give it out to you.
No, say it. Yeah.
Say it now. Mr. Stone Author at gmail.com. Shoot me an email. TikTok at Mr. Ravenstone. Those are the two things that I'm active on right now.
Great, we'll put that in the show notes too.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to check out your awesome videos and TikTok, and you do more.
Spotify.
Spotify.
I'm on Spotify as well. Ravenstone.
Great.
Yep. First album's on there. I'm going to be putting the next one up.
And again,
Yeah,
your
thank
TikTok
you.
is multifaceted, so it's all nostalgia based, and it's not just Little House on the Prairie. So if people like, more than
Little
just
House kicked it off, but
right, Little House kicked it off, and now it's
go all over
now
the
it's
place.
An extravaganza of nostalgia. It's so much fun. Okay,
Yeah,
I hope you join us
thank
on
you.
Patreon. I hope you will join us for no pressure or anything like that, but that would be fun.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. Dean, Allison, anything else you want to add before we go?
That's just amazing. Someone that, as I said, this multi-generational fandom, and that it was passed to you by your grandmother, and that to go from watching it to grandmother to these absolutely bonkers videos, that just to watch our fandom evolve over the generations, and it's just unending and bananas, and we love you.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's great.
Yeah,
I'm happy you approve.
You, Raven, you're a true bonnet head. There's no question about it.
At my core, in my bones.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Raven, thank you for being here. You guys, thank you for being here.
you.
Check us out. Little House Podcast. Nope. Little House 50 Podcast. How do I mess that up? LittleHouse50podcast.com. That's our website or socials, Little House 50 Podcast. And we'll be here next night. Raven, please go down the hill with us, will you? Bob, get the wig. Let's fly.
Fly now. Put your arms up, Raven. Come on. Fly like a raven. There you go.
Yeah, there he goes. Peer pressure.
I can't trip.